So I wanted to continue with the water problem or water issues or whatever. And I wanted to let you know a few things that are important for you to understand. You know, if you have a water tank or a water container, there is a time in which that per se, without the water, it will be very hard to get and very important to have. And people are going to start taking those from, you know, how to say this, from the street and from other places. And before you ask, the answer is no. People will not raid your house to try to get water containers or water from per se. No, but they will take it if the water is outside. And so you want to get the water containers inside your house. I already said that. You want to get water containers, in the sinks and the places that you're going to use them. I already said that. But here is the deal. You cannot go crazy about using chemicals to try to make the water potable. And you cannot go crazy trying to use chlorine to get to the water. And this is why. Number one, you may not know this, but quite frankly, it might kill you. And in fact, it almost killed my friend. And she went to college, just like me. And she went to the same school that I did. It's just that she never paid attention in chemistry class. Oh, come on, in chemistry, the first thing that they tell you is be safe, right? And do not do anything stupid. But, people do things stupid. So, number one, chlorine. You might think that chlorine is found naturally in a liquid state. It's not. And what does it have to do with water? Well, this thing. People will put water containers outside when they get hot. Okay? And you know how you put something on top? Because obviously you don't want the water to evaporate and you don't want things to get into the water or whatever, and you put it like that. So here's the deal. Most people will hear, hey, put chlorine so that the whole water it's okay. And then they go and they pour the whole bottle of chlorine in the water tank. At the beginning, nothing will happen. But then, if the water is sealed and it is hot, the chlorine will evaporate. And when it does, the chlorine in that state, in the gas state, it is poison. It will knock you out. And then, if you keep being in this place with the chlorine, you will die. That's simple. The worst is that sometimes you cannot even smell the chlorine because it's already too late and you're already knocked out. So, no. It's important for you to tell your kids, and especially young kids, do not put chlorine if you don't know how much chlorine to put in there. And I do mean and, do not put chlorine in hot water or in a place where if it is mixed with the water will be hot because it will evaporate and it will create a hazard for you. So use the chlorine only in the water that you are actually going to use almost immediately. And that is, if you're using the chlorine to filter the water or to, actually not filter it, but to make it drinkable, So, that being said, you also need to know that if you have water containers outside of your house, there are people that if they want you to be sick or whatever, they will poison that water. Because some people do that so that because they're thinking that you're going to give this water to animals and they want the animals to die so that they can take the animals because they're hungry and they want to eat the animals. They are not doing it to you. I mean, people are actually not going to go after you and try to kill you through the water. They might, but I'm saying to you that I haven't seen it happen, but I have seen it happen so that people can get at the animals. And sometimes they do it just so that you can be sick a little bit and you have to go to the doctor or whatever. And once you're going to the hospital, they will raid your house. They will do it to smoke you out, basically. So, do you want to do that? That's why your water tank cannot be outside. And if it is outside for whatever reason, because people still get water tanks outside, then you have to know that that water is not going to be used inside your house. Because also you do not want to have to go outside of the house to try to get it. Try to imagine, just like I said about the coffee thing, and the stove thing, most men, and I do mean men, I don't mean women, because there is no way in hell a woman is going to think like that. But like men are like, oh, I'm going to get the rocket stove, I'm going to cook outside, and this is great or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a woman and I'm not doing that with you. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. I am not going to go outside and spend 20 minutes trying to get something so that I can get my freaking coffee. I mean, it's just not happening. The same way for you going to the bathroom. Come on, if I have my period, which is something that you men do not have, and I have to go outside of the house to try to get water to clean myself, I will probably kill somebody. I will be like pissed as hell because I already have problems of my own and you are putting more problems into me. So no, you want to have some sort of way in which you do not have to go outside to try to get that water. I'm sorry, but it's just the way it is. Also, how about this? You don't want to be seen by your neighbor. You don't want to be, you don't want your neighbor to knock on your door and say, hey, I noticed that you have a water tank and I have no water because, that has actually happened to me. People know that I have a water tank and they don't have water tanks in their house. And when there is a power outage that lasts more than 2 days and we have no water for 2 days or more, there are people knocking on my door saying, hey, can I have some water? And then I have to actually go into the underground water tank and, use a rope and try to get water for my neighbors and water for everybody. Just because I have the water tank, because people know that I have the water tank. So, no. Do you really want to have to share that with everybody? Because how the hell do you say no to somebody that just wants water, especially if it is a girl like you? She might have her period and you're like, oh my God, a man will never understand that. You're like, hey, but that we need that water for living. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't have a period. And if the neighbor is a woman and she's having her period, oh hell, I'm giving her the water, It's just the way it is because, quite frankly, it's just a different perspective, on things. For a woman, when she has her period and she needs to clean and she needs to do a lot of things, oh hell, we don't think. We get angry if we are dirty. Try to imagine, I don't know an equivalent for men, but let me think for a minute. All right. Try to imagine that you haven't shaved, your face and you're used to having your clean face, right? Try to imagine if you haven't shaved for a month and you're like, my beard is itchy. And try to imagine if you smell like hell because you haven't showered in about 2 months. Or maybe, let's say 2 weeks. So you're a man, you're sweating and you stink like hell because you haven't showered for 2 weeks. And on top of that, try to imagine you have the beer, you have the stink, and then worse, try to imagine that you're eating, and every time that you're eating something, it tastes like crap because you haven't brushed your teeth, and your breath can kill someone. Yeah, that's how we feel when we have our period and we are dirty as hell because we haven't cleaned ourselves. It's just we are sweaty, we have, I don't want to be explicit here, but hell. So, it's just biology. It's not our fault. We don't want to have these things, just like you don't want to have, your other problems. So, what I'm trying to tell you is that you want to make things as normal as possible. And you having to go outside to get water is not normal. So let me say this again. The role of women in an emergency is to try to maintain a sense of normalcy. That is why we are comforting, and that is why we keep organizing things and we keep cleaning and we keep doing a lot of things that might make you feel normal, like cooking special things or whatever, baking, whatever, even though there is an emergency going. So we try to brush the kids' teeth. We try to read them a story. We try to, tell them, hey, I don't care if it is an apocalypse. You have to get up and you have to get dressed and you have to try to work and you have to study and you have to do these things because, that is what we do. We maintain a sense of normalcy and we are nurturing that sense of normalcy. We cannot do that if your priority is just, how to put it like this? It's just to make things work no matter how the hell they work. You're going to fight a lot with the woman because you might be thinking, hey, this pencil is working because this pencil, is light and we can write. And the woman might be like, but this is for kids. This is not pretty. What the hell am I going to do with this? So it's a different kind of perspective. You can find balance. You can find it in the middle. So just try to ask your woman, what does she do all day with the things that you are using, like water? Where do you use it the most? In the sink. Because, you need to wash your face, you need to wash your teeth and stuff like that. So that is where you put a water tank. In every single sink. Well, I need to go to the toilet. Yes, that's why you put, in the showers you put a very big water tank with 120 liters or 150 liters or whatever, even though it takes a space from the shower. So you figure out a way with your woman about where the hell to put the water tanks inside your house in such a way that if there is no power and if there is no water pump and if there is nothing, she can go in there and just go with a small bucket, take water and use it. Because that is another problem. We are weak. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. We women are weak. You cannot expect us to carry a 40 kilos, an 80-pound bucket of water. I'm doing that. I am. And I have no problem because I'm used to it. And quite frankly, I am the only one who can do it in my house. And I have seen men, and I do mean men, who cannot do it. They just can't lift, that bucket without, dropping half of the water and stuff like that. So, yeah, you need to make things considering the fact that you're weak. You cannot assume that your kids are going to be as strong as you. You cannot assume that you're going to be outside or you can go outside and your neighbors are not going to notice you and stuff like that because that's not going to happen. You cannot assume that your wife is going to do whatever the hell you do because we are not men. We are not as strong as you. We don't have the abilities that you do. And then again, you don't have the abilities that we have. and you don't have the senses that we have. So just keep this in mind and keep the water containers where they belong. And while you're at it, you might want to buy soap dispensers for for anything sink that you have in your house. And that has to do with water because of the fact that if you are washing your hands or whatever, and you have to spend more water rinsing and cleaning because the soap is soap and it will make your hands worse or whatever, then you might want to get the soap dispensers because that way, it's faster, it's easier, and it's better to clean yourself and everything, and you will spend less water doing things. And that will also work for the liquid soap, for washing the dishes. Not the powder dispenser, I'm talking about, the liquid for doing the dishes. You can use that one in the sink for doing the dishes as well. It's my recommendation for water. And I think this is going to be the last video about water unless somebody asks me something. So, thank you for watching. My email is down below in case that you want to send an Amazon gift card or whatever. And thanks for watching.